If the 10th generation of Pokemon really is inspired by Southeast Asia, which all of the leaks point to be the case, islands, jungles, volcanoes, and evolution itself, then the starter Pokemon might already be hiding in plain sight. This is Pokemon. They don't design starters randomly. They design them around culture, geography, and theme. Today, we are breaking down the core themes Pokemon could lean into for Generation 10, possible starter concepts for the fire, water, and grass starter Pokemon, and a bonus list of real-world creatures that could inspire brand new Pokemon designs. This isn't just about leaks or Generation 10. This is about dissecting how Pokemon thinks and extracting what the starter Pokemon could be in our upcoming new Pokemon games. If you like this type of video, be sure to like it down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Pokemon Day is just a few weeks away, and the Generation 10 will kick off in a big way on Pokemon Day, and we'll have it here for you first. Pokemon starters consistently follow 3 key rules. They reflect the real-world region, they embody a recognizable archetype, and they evolve from simple to iconic. Think about Gale, for example. Rillaboom is focused around being a drummer and the music culture. Cinderace focusing on soccer and sports, and Inteleon being based around spy and espionage. When we look at Alola, we look at the archer, the wrestler, and the performer, with Primarina, Incineroar, and Decidueye being at the helm. In the Paldea region, the theme is focused around the magician, the dancer, and the folklore musician. So if Generation 10 is based on Southeast Asia, the starters are going to probably reflect themes around islands, dense jungles, ancient wildlife, survival and adaptation, and of course, evolution. Evolution and adaptation is a key thematic reference for us to evaluate. Island chains produce strange and highly specialized species. This is perfect for a Darwin-inspired region. Based on the leaks we've seen so far, it is possible that Charles Darwin has a massive inspiration in the foundation of Generation 10. That means you can expect Pokemon that might change dramatically across evolutions, feel adaptive rather than linear, and look like they are shaped by the environment. This also opens the door for many potential regional forms and very unique approach to Pokemon that we've never seen before. Another theme we could be exploring is ancient living relics. This region is home to creatures that feel prehistoric. Pokemon loves living fossils and beasts that feel older than civilization, so I would expect them to explore fossils in a big way. And the third key theme is around exploration and survival. Jungles, oceans, volcanoes, and diverse biomes. This is a region about endurance, not necessarily just cities, although I think they're going to have a nice mix of both. I don't know about you, but I generally go with the grass type starters, so let's start there. I think a really interesting option for our first grass starter could be based on the pangolin, which is an armored forest creature. These are native to Southeast Asia, they're covered in scales, and they're quiet, defensive, and resilient. This gives me some really interesting vibes to kind of Chespin and Quilladin and Chestnut. I think a pangolin could serve to be a really interesting starting point for a grass-type starter. I could see it becoming grass and steel or even grass and ground. I could see it being tanky and ultimately just being an awesome Pokemon to explore. Another option that I would like to see out of a grass-type starter could be based around the flying fox, or the giant fruit bat. These have huge wingspans and they live in coastal and forest habitats, and honestly, I think it's very fitting for this type of a region. This idea of a beautiful green kind of bat that loves fruit, I think could have a lot of implications from an anime perspective, as I think it would be a very adorable and loving creature. I think back to Rowlet and how beloved that Pokemon was, and I can see them approaching a giant fruit bat in a similar way. I can see this being grass and flying or even grass and dark. Shifting gears to our fire type starters, let's take a look at a few different options. The first one being the Komodo dragon. And I know we've got Komo-o and Jangmo-o, but I feel like a Komodo dragon makes so much sense for an Indonesia-inspired region. They're native to Indonesia and they're the largest living lizard. What makes them unique is they have a venomous bite and they have a prehistoric vibe to them. I could totally see this being fire dragon or fire poison, and instantly a fan favorite, especially if they're able to capitalize on some of the love that Charizard's line has gotten over the years. Another option that I am in love with is a tropical firebird. Bright colors, aggressive displays, and a jungle aesthetic. Maybe even leaning a little bit into the Phoenix type vibes. I think a Phoenix starter would go so hard, and I think there's plenty of room to differentiate from Ho-Oh in the region by giving the players a really cool tropical fire type bird to start with. The water starter is the one that I feel the most concrete about, and some of the leaks have hinted towards some of this, so it'll be interesting to see what actually comes true. The first one is the proboscis monkey, or the diving monkey. This is native to Borneo, and they're excellent swimmers. They have a semi-aquatic jungle lifestyle, and it's very unique that these monkeys actually can dive underwater, and they have slightly webbed hands, and they can do some really cool stuff. It's a super unique creature to this region, and I think would serve as excellent inspiration for a starter Pokemon. Who doesn't love a cute monkey? The next idea is more of the Ocean Guardian, kind of ethereal type of vibe, and almost gives me Moana vibes in a bit, is the Manta Ray. Now, I know we've got Mantine and Mantike, but I think that they could do something really cool here with a new starter type Pokemon based around the Manta Ray or something very similar. Super relevant to the region, intelligent, graceful, and of course a massive presence. I can see them leaning on Water and Psychic, or even Water and Fairy if we want to revisit Primarina's typing. Thinking about what the starters could be is something that gets me really excited. So what type of animals and real-world creatures would you like to see them explore for the 3 starter Pokemon? In my research, I uncovered a handful of other real-world creatures that I think could inspire Pokemon designs for this region. A few of them are the Tarsier, which I could see being like a psychic type. I think there's some inspiration in Grafaiai, but I think there's enough room to try to do something different. The Hornbill or Toucanon, which we know from Alola, could be getting a great candidate for a regional form, and I think a lot of these ideas are great regional forms. The Monitor Lizard is another one, and maybe we'll see some regional forms based around that. And the Slow Loris is a super interesting creature from this region that could certainly inspire a Pokemon. I got into the rabbit hole of the Sun Bear, and I recognize how Pokemon has a Moon Bear in Teddiursa and Ursaring. They could very easily give it a regional form or a convergent form that is a little bit different, but based on the Sun Bear from this region. The Macaque is another really interesting type of Primeape that I could see them kind of spinning off of Mankey, Primeape, and Annihilape. And then there's the Naga-inspired Serpent, which certainly gives us some vibes towards a potential water and dragon Pokemon. This is a mythical being in Southeast Asian lore, which symbolizes water, fertility, protection, wisdom, and hidden treasures. Not to mention, anytime I go to a zoo, the one animal that I always want to see is the red panda. These things are absolutely adorable and would serve as excellent inspiration for a new Pokemon. The giant clam could certainly trump what Clamperl has done and create this really interesting armored fortress type vibe, especially with all the coral reef inspiration that we could be looking at. And last but not least, the coconut crab most certainly can have an appearance here, and there's a lot of crossover with Alola, so maybe Crabrawler and Crabominable and their new mega form are going to get some love here in a little bit warmer of an environment. It'd be really interesting to see Crabrawler get a different evolution that was an ice type that was fitting for this region. I don't know about you, but I am incredibly excited to see what happens next with the starter Pokemon and new reveals going into Wind and Wave, the generation of 10 of Pokemon. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and stay tuned for our update videos. I'll have you guys updated here on all the rumors, leaks, and much, much more as we close in on Pokemon Day 2026.